Hi everyone, welcome to Free Gift Friday, where we bring you something for free on Fridays related to streamlining and optimizing your business, whether it be a proven strategy, a juicy tip, $1 million network connection, or access to software on a trial or long-term subscription basis. Three things are always true. It is always free, it is always given on Friday, and it is always related to streamlining and optimizing your business. So a couple weeks ago, I mentioned to you that we were going to start introducing the $1 million network connections, and I bring to you today a good friend of mine and my very first $1 million network connection for you, Miss Angel Tuccy. Welcome, Angel.
Well, thank you, Melanie. Right? That's quite the introduction, your $1 million network.
So, Angel, why don't you start off by telling them who you are and what you do?
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm Angel Tuccy. I'm super excited to be here today, Melanie. Thank you so much for inviting me. I am a media matchmaker. I've got dubbed that name by my clients. When you're looking for stages and looking to get booked, where do you go? You go to what I call OPP, other people's platforms, to build your business, to build your list, to build your exposure and credibility. And so I'm a media matchmaker.
Awesome. So, our show is about streamlining and optimizing your business. So really getting you to the maximum profits you can get for yourself, right? So how do you think having media allows people to streamline and optimize their path to profitability or maximum profits?
Well, I think it's critical, Melanie. I think as small business owners, a lot of what we're taught on how to build our business is it's a waste of our time. Right? We're being taught to build our business one-to-one, to go out and to connect with people on LinkedIn, right? To send private messages, to build that relationship one-on-one, to do these one-on-one discovery calls. And the statistics say that most small business owners close within 3 to 5 years, and it's due to lack of revenue and lack of customers, which comes from lack of exposure. And also, most small business owners, less than 6%, ever hit that $100,000 mark, that six-figure mark, which means most small business owners are busy but broke. And when you learn how to leverage the power of an audience, radio, television, magazines, podcasts, press releases, in order to get your message out, your business, your book, or your brand, it's a game changer. It's a game changer for small business.
I totally agree. And so what's your free gift for our listeners today?
Well, I put together a complimentary media starter kit. It's a complimentary, so it's free, like Melanie said, on how to get started with guaranteed media exposure, how to put a message together, how to get the media to fall in love with you, and really just how to get started into building your brand one-to-many using the power of media and publicity. And you can get that at my website, makeyourbigimpact.com. That's makeyourbigimpact.com, and download your complimentary media starter kit today.
Awesome, and we'll put that in the description with the other links that we have in there for you. So, Angel, you're my publicist. You get all of my media exposure for me because I like to say I don't like to do anything that I don't actually like to do. So, actually getting my own exposure is not something that I personally want to do. It's not something that I enjoy doing, but it's something that you enjoy doing and that you're fabulous at it. So I enjoy working with you on that regard. Well, many regards, actually. But anyway, so if somebody wanted to hire you to get their exposure, if they wanted these press releases, how could they work with you?
Well, it's so fun that you asked me, Melanie, because when you talk about automation and streamlining your business, one of the things that we developed, and nobody else is doing this at this point, but we put together a subscription model for automating your press releases. And when it first came out, you thought, okay, a press release has to be current events. It goes out to the media, it goes in, gets in front of these news desks. There's no way to automate that. And it was actually having a conversation between you, Melanie, and my son where we realized that most small business owners hit certain milestones throughout the year. If your business is growing, you're going to hit a milestone. You're going to have a breakthrough. Maybe you're launching a course, publishing a book, becoming a bestseller. We came up with 16 templates for small business that we could now automate and put out a press release for you every single month to create that momentum, create that publicity, and to create that exposure. And because of the tools and the brilliance that you bring to the table, Melanie, we were able to automate this into a subscription service for small businesses, and it is a game changer.
It's so true because I like to say if you can repeat it, you can automate it, right? And what people often don't realize is that you can add customization to automation. It doesn't have to be exactly the same every single time. You just have to be able to interject these variables that are different for people. So if you can ask people survey questions, then you can turn those into variables and interject them into the automation, right?
And that is, I think, for so many people who shy away from automation, think that you're lacking that personal touch, you're lacking that personalization. But Melanie, you've opened up our eyes to say you can customize and personalize automation. And again, for small businesses, we do so much that we're on that hamster wheel where we're busy, but we're not productive and we're not profitable. So by elementing a lot of these tools in the background, we get to stay in our lane, serve our favorite clients, and really make that big impact in the world.
Yeah. So what's your favorite thing about having this automation, this ability to serve without actually doing the work yourself?
I think my favorite thing is I can say yes when somebody says, Angel, can you help me? Angel, can we work with you? Because when we're doing it all one-to-one and everything has to go through me, and there's only so much time in the day, there's only so much I can serve. And we got in business really to create a legacy. But what we end up many times is creating a job, right? Where we're working these entrepreneurial half days, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The automation allows me to say yes and to serve even more clients, but not consume up more of my time.
Yeah, I would agree. For me, it's not having the anxiety. And there's so many aspects to that. It's like not forgetting somebody. It's not forgetting a task. It's the quality. It's repeating itself. So everybody gets the same quality. So it's
I think that was one of the concern of, even when I think about you, Melanie, I'm like, I'm afraid somebody's going to fall through the cracks. I'm afraid I'm going to miss a step. I'm afraid, right, they're not going to get as high a level because I'm spreading myself too thin. And so, that it's just, it does. It releases the anxiety.
Well, we weren't planning on talking about this today, but one of your other lanes of genius are helping people publish their books. And I bring this up because you just reminded me of this, this book that I'm working on, which is the inspirations going from an athlete to an entrepreneur. Right? And wow, I just lost my train of thought for a second there. But one of the things that we learn as an athlete is, God, I just lost my train of thought. What were you just saying right before we did this?
Oh my goodness, right? How we release the anxiety, so because things aren't falling through the cracks. Right? Your athlete to entrepreneur, your story, getting your book out into the world.
Anyway, the point is like as an athlete, you learn that you have your voice is really, your champion voice is really the only one that matters. But there's all these voices, there's all these people that telling you you can't do it. There's all these complications in life that are telling you you can't do it. Oh, and I just remembered, I got my train of thought back. Is that fear is just another obstacle. So if you're in fact systematizing and you're putting like processes around tasks, then you're just looking, okay, well, how do I overcome this hurdle? And in this case, the hurdle is fear, right? I'm afraid that I'm going to forget a client. Okay, so how do we ensure that doesn't happen? How do we systematize it in such a way that ensures that doesn't happen? Anyway, that wasn't a question.
Oh,
that was a point to what you were just saying of like, don't let fear stand in the way of developing programs and services for people, because like we said, we can get over fear by just putting process in place.
and I love how you talk about only listening to your champion voice, because there are a lot of things that we, bring into the mix, right? Back past experiences, past challenges, and then, and other people tend to pour that onto us as well. Their past fears, their past challenges. I mean, we were even talking before we went on about, my business banker or your tax guy going, really, do you think it's going to work, right? And that's their past fear, and that, but they project that. So only listen to your champion voices. Listen, like, be careful of what you read and who you listen to and who you hang out with, and make sure that that they're champions, because they're out there. And even this morning, I was listening to somebody, and he says, you don't know, right? You might not know how to do it until you actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so just one step in front of the other, and take action, and move forward, and watch what you can create.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a couple of things in the entrepreneur world that are standard. Like everybody does it this way, and there's a couple of them that I don't do that way. And I was having a conversation with one of my clients about it, and we were agreeing. It's like, well, that way isn't authentic to me. This way is. And I have people say to me, oh, you shouldn't do it that way. You should do it this way. I'm like, well, who says? Because it's working for me. And why change it if it's not broken? You know?
Well, you always challenge me, Melanie. We're moving along. We've got our systems. We've got our steps in place, and you do question. And I think that's that Harvard experience inside of you, right? That Six Sigma that you bring to the table of, okay, just because we've always done it this way doesn't mean that's the way we have to continue to do it. And so you question and you challenge, and I think that's what that rises up, inside of us to make us all better, and elevates all of us.
Yeah, I was negotiating a software contract for somebody a couple weeks ago, and there was something that the company was saying that was just not quite right. And I challenged them, and they said, well, this is how we've done it for the last 8 years. And I said, well, just because you've done it that way doesn't make it right, you know? And it's true. This actually, I think this comes more so from hanging out with millennials than it does from actually being in Harvard for 10 years, is that millennials have this uncanny ability to challenge the system, to just say, does it have to be that way? I don't know. And I've seen millennial after millennial, and thought to myself, oh, it's never gonna work, right? Because I have these beliefs about something, and then it does, and I'm like, well, if it worked for them in that regard, maybe if I challenge this thing over here, it'll work for me. So I think, there's a lot of, there are a lot of voices in the world, that this isn't right or that isn't right. And I think at the end of the day, the definition of optimization is making the best of anything. And if you just kind of look at everything like, how can we make it the best it could be, then we should challenge everything. We should just look for the silver lining,
But it's even kind of building in like some white space into your day where you can think about that, and challenge yourself. And how can we make, because I think we just go from one thing to the next, and we're so busy, right? I mean, it's popular to be exhausted, and it's trendy to be busy. And so even scheduling in, and I think this is where, if you have technology and you have automation, that you give yourself a little bit more breathing room in your workflow and in your workday, that allows you to really sit back and reflect. Are we doing it the best that we can? How could we do this better? I mean, even yesterday, as we're going through an exercise on our workflow, and you list all of the steps, there are things in there that aren't really necessary, right? They might be redundant, or might not even be necessary anymore. When we talk about creating, media and exposure and getting marketing and attracting leads, there's an element in there that if we aren't capturing those leads when we get the exposure, we say that, what is it? Exposure without closure is wasted exposure. And so reflecting, I'm going to get this visibility. I'm going to publish my book. I'm going to publish a course, and I'm going to put it out in the world. But how do I capture that? And then how do I maintain that level of service to everybody who comes in, from client number 1 to number 10 to 1,000? And once we can scale it, I think that's where the relief is. It isn't in serving less clients. It's actually, I think the relief comes when you can serve more.
Right. And you do that so beautifully for your clients, in that creating community, which brings them to all of your events, and then you timely host these events for them that shows them where they're currently at in their business, and then brings them up to that balcony to say, well, how can you make the best of where you are right now? Like, how can you take it to the next level? And it's kind of like, we talked about this yesterday, of like being in the eye of the storm. You can't see past the crazy, right? You can't see past the storm. And if anybody knows the analogy of the eye of the storm, it's kind of like a donut. You're in the middle, and then the donut around you is the hurricane, the craziness. And then outside of that is beautiful. It's perfect weather, And that's kind of what it's like being an entrepreneur. Is you're in the eye of the storm. You're busy is the donut, is the storm around you, but then there's this oyster on the other side of that crazy. And if you can get up on the balcony, this is a great leadership technique that we learn in school. If you can get up on the balcony and kind of look down at yourself of where you are in business and all the pieces, and get that perspective, that 10,000 foot view perspective, then you'll start to see where the gaps are and where you can improve and elevate. And I think you do that beautifully for your clients.
Aw, thanks, Melanie.
So we talked about your free gift. You can get it at makeyourbigImpact.com. And so I'm guessing that they can also sign up for these press releases at makeyourbigImpact.com.
Absolutely. So when you download that media starter kit, there's a nice little, you can also check into the PR subscription. We call it PR a month, press release a month. So it's our PRAM system. But it's really going to accelerate your business and your brand, create that community, create that publicity, and you get to really write the story for what you want the world to know about your business by putting out a press release every single month. So yes, go to makeyourbigImpact.com, download that complimentary starter kit, and get some information about our press release subscription service.
And just in case you missed it, because I'm not sure we explicitly said it, is like, this is how you get the as seen on icons.
That is true, right? Everybody wants those logos. We love seeing those logos, as seen on, as featured on, because those brands are familiar to the common, the community, and our brand might not be. They haven't heard of us yet, but those brands are familiar. So anytime you can align your brand with a familiar brand, especially one of those A+ or major publications, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, MarketWatch, anytime you can, even right now, Melanie, you have the social media icons on your banner. Those are familiar. The same with those traditional radio and television logos. Those are familiar, and they create this sense of trust. They elevate your credibility. People, they create this familiarity, so it shortens your sales cycle. Anyways, all that to say, you get all of that when you put out a press release.
Right? It's because, ABC wouldn't have that person on if they weren't trustworthy, right?
Right? Yes. Yes, and they are exclusive spots. Like, it's not just for anybody. Not everybody can just be featured, and the and when people see that, they're like, wow, like, her story. And then you get to take those press releases on those mastheads and share them on your social media, and even if people don't read the whole story, they're paying attention to what you're doing, and so it stops the scroll and elevates you all at the same time.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm just going to give people a quick exit, which is thank you for joining us. I hope you found value in this. Thank you to my beautiful guest, Angel Tuccy, and for her free gift to all of you to get your media exposure, to get on all the grand networks, and to learn how you can get even more exposure to get all of those fantastic leads in the funnel. So thank you for joining. If you found value in this, if you enjoyed it, we hope that you will subscribe by clicking the link at the bottom so that every Friday you will get a notification to let you know that we've brought you something for free. So once again, welcome to Free Gift Fridays, and we hope you'll join us again next week. Thanks, everyone.